Welcome back to the Embers Archive. Tonight, we journey to a place of lethal beauty and eternal cold. It is a story of a kingdom of ice, a mortal's desperate bargain, and a prince whose heart was rumored to be as frozen as his realm. The winter court of the Fae was a place of legend, a realm of glittering razor-sharp ice and merciless beauty. It was ruled by an ancient, indifferent king, but its true power, its will, and its edge was Prince Kael. He was the king's enforcer, a figure of cold fury and perfect control, his heart rumored to be a shard of the original glacier. For a century, the mortal village of Ashworth, bordering the Fae realm, had suffered under an unnatural, unending winter. The sun was a pale memory, the crops had failed, and the people were starving. Elara, the village herbalist, could take no more. While others prayed to gods who didn't answer, she did the unthinkable. She crossed the frozen border, armed with nothing but iron shears and a desperate, burning resolve. She walked to the gates of the winter court to make a bargain. She was dragged before the throne, a splash of mortal color in a hall of ice white and shadow blue. The Fae court watched with glittering, predatory amusement. She addressed the king, but it was Prince Kael who rose from his seat, his presence silencing the whispers. A mortal. How? ... Bold. You reek of iron and desperation. What does a creature of dying warmth want from eternal winter? Elara's hands trembled, but her voice did not. My people are starving. The winter you have cast over our lands is killing us. I offer a bargain. Release my village from your frost, and I will give you whatever you ask. Kael's eyes, the color of a frozen sea, narrowed. He stepped down from the dais, circling her. He saw her not as a threat, but as a curiosity, a tiny, defiant ember in his world of ice. You offer yourself a frail, mortal life. Very well. Your village will have its spring. In return, you will be my personal attendant. You belong to me until the last petal falls from the sunrose in your village square. Elara agreed, knowing the sunrose hadn't bloomed in 100 years. The bargain was a life sentence. Life in the palace was a glittering prison. The Fae were cruel, their game subtle and sharp. Elara was an object of scorn, a pet for the cold prince. Kael was a demanding master, his standards impossible, his demeanor aloof and cutting. He seemed fascinated by her mortality, by her need for sleep, for warmth, for food. But Elara was not just an herbalist. She possessed a knack, a small, secret warmth, a whisper of life, magic. In the frozen sterile palace, she kept a single, stubborn plant alive in her freezing chambers, coaxing a green leaf from its dormant branch. Kael, whose magic was all ice and control, sensed the anomaly. He found her small, hidden bloom. What magic is this? It is not Fae. It is ... warm. It is just a plant. It reminds me of home. He knew she was lying. He began to test her, bringing her to the ancient, dying royal greenhouses, where the glass was thick with frosts. He watched her, his cold gaze unwavering, as she tentatively touched the frozen vines and, with a flush of effort, brought a faint, green blush back to them. This frail mortal, who shivered if a door was left open, possessed the one thing his kingdom of ice lacked: life. The tension between them became a tangible thing, a brittle, dangerous wire. He was the Winter Prince, his own heart bound by a cold duty. She was the only warmth he had felt in centuries, and she was his prisoner. The truth was, the winter court was failing. The eternal winter was growing too cold. The magical core of their realm, the Hearties, was fractured, bleeding its power, and Kael's own life was bound to it, making him physically cold and emotionally frozen. A rival Fae Lord Malikor, who desired the throne, saw this weakness. He struck not at Kael, but at Elara. He poisoned her with a shard of corrupted shadow ice, a magic that froze the victim from the inside out, a magic only Kael could command. Kael found her collapsing in the snow-filled garden, frost creeping across her skin, her warm life magic fading. Malikor had laid a perfect trap. Kael could do nothing, and the only warmth in his kingdom would be extinguished. Or he could try to save her, and in doing so, break the very laws of his court. He chose her. He knelt, gathering her freezing form. He pressed his hand over her heart, a touch so cold it should have stopped it. But then he did the unthinkable. He pushed his own magic into her, not the killing frost, but the deep, foundational essence of his power. The clash of magic was explosive. His pure, ancient ice met her raw, warm life. It didn't destroy her. It shattered the shadow poison, and the resulting wave of energy sent a tremor through the entire palace. Kael collapsed, gasping, a single bead of sweat on his forehead, the first in a century. Elara's eyes fluttered open, and in his, she saw not a master, but a man in agony. The dynamic was shattered. He was no longer her jailer. She was his only hope. He took her to the Hades's chamber, a place forbidden to mortals. The heart was a colossal, dark glacier, cracked in weeping shadows. This is the heart of my realm. And my own, it is dying. Malachor poisoned it. That warmth you possess, it is the only thing that can heal it. They had to work together. He taught her to wield her warmth as a weapon, while she taught him that his ice could be used to shield, not just to kill. He used his magic to carve a path into the Hades's, and she walked behind him, pouring her life magic into the cracks, sealing the shadows. It was an intimate, dangerous dance, ice and warmth weaving a new magic. As they reached the core, Malachor ambushed them. He revealed his plan. Kill Kael, claim the throne, and sacrifice the mortal girl to seal the broken heart, turning the kingdom into a tomb of his own design. Kael, weakened but no longer frozen, fought to defend her. But Malachor, wielding the corrupted shadow ice, was too strong. He trapped Kael, binding him in creeping, parasitic ice. Malachor turned to Elara, laughing. But he had made a fatal error. He had shown Elara that ice could be a weapon. As Malachor raised his hand to strike, Elara stood tall. Her magic flared. But it wasn't just green and gold, tempered by Kael's shared power. It was a blinding white gold light, focused and sharp. She didn't just heal. She attacked. She unleashed a spear of pure, sun-forged Isa, perfect fusion of their two magics. It struck Malachor, and the usurper shattered his shadow magic dissolving. Elara rushed to Kael, her warmth shattering his icy prison. The Hades behind them pulsed with a new, stable light. The unnatural cold over the kingdom receded. The bargain was fulfilled. Her village had its spring. The sun rose, for the first time in a century, was blooming. Elara was free to go. Kael stood with her at the glittering gates of the court. His realm was no longer dying, and for the first time his heart felt ... steady. Your bargain is complete. But the winter court, I have grown accustomed to the warmth, and I have learned that ice can be beautiful when it is used to protect. He didn't command her to stay, he asked. Not as a servant, but as his partner, as his queen, to bring a new season to his court. She looked at the Prince of Winter, seeing the man who had sacrificed his laws for her, and she took his hand. The Prince of the Winter Court had finally found his thaw, and in the heart of the archive, their story was recorded. A tale of how the fiercest winter can be broken by a single, defiant spark of warmth. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this tale, please consider liking and subscribing for more stories from the Embers Archive.